السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Alhamdulillah, this is the 94th session of Seerah al-Nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we've been talking about the haditha of Ifk, the tragic incident of the Ifk and the slander of our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. Now, in regards to this, we've been talking about the last couple sessions in this, the battle that took place, Muraysi, and then the after effects of that battle, which led to us back to Medina Munawwara when the Rasulullah sallallahu the Sahaba arrived in Medina Munawwara, and a blatant lie and slander against Aisha radiallahu anha was spreading amongst the people of Medina. And this was started by none other than Abdullah ibn Ubay. Abdullah ibn Ubay being the leader of the Munafiqeen. And he was the one who his nifaq was openly basically brought out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed ayat about Abdullah ibn Ubay in his nifaq in Surah Munafiqun. And basically everyone knew that he was Munafiq. And one of the things that he did as they were returning back to Medina Munawwara is when Aisha radiallahu anha was left behind and found by the Sahabi by the name of Safwan ibn Mu'attal radiallahu anhu, and they came into the camp. When they caught up to the camp, he said his slanderous words against them. Na'udhu billah. So that starts spreading, and he started himself, would repeat it. It's not like a one-time thing and it just spread by itself, but he would repeat it in his gatherings, spreading it, trying to cause more distress and discomfort, and trying to basically to do his best against the household of the Prophet ﷺ and against the Prophet ﷺ himself. And we talked about this in detail, how the whole, just like shaitan, when he thought that he was the one to become the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the earth, and he thought himself worthy of that position. And when Adam alayhi salam was created, and Adam alayhi salam was basically pointed out to be that Khalifa, he became jealous and he became a mortal enemy or immortal enemy when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow him to live until the Day of Judgment. And he basically, every chance he gets, he tries to fight against the Bani Adam. Now, same way, Abdullah ibn Ubay, he was supposed to become the king of Medina. He was about to be crowned the king of Medina. I talked about this in detail. And one of the things that the animosity he had against the Prophet ﷺ was because of this, that he thinking that he was to become the king of Medina and deserves to be the king of Medina. When the Prophet ﷺ arrived, and basically the people turned to the Prophet ﷺ and made him the leader of Medina or the king of Medina, out of his jealousy and his spite, that's where his animosity started. So again, his nifaq became apparent during this journey and after this battle. And one of the things that he did was spread this lie against our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. So we got to the point last session where Aisha radiallahu anha, she became sick when she arrived in Medina. She was sick for about a month, and she did not know of anything of what's being spread about her. So until she became a little healthy and she was able to get out of the house, so she actually went out one night with Mistah. Okay, Mistah radiallahu anha, one of the relatives of the household of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and she goes out with her to use the bathroom. So they go out, the women would go together, they'll go away from the city, and as they're doing this, as they're returning back or on the way there, Mistah slips on her clothing, on her abaya or her burqa, and she slips and she says Ta'isa Mistah. She basically swears, or says, not swears, but you could say does badwa against her own son. And Aisha radiallahu anha, hearing this, she says that how could you say such a thing? That are you swearing against, or are you doing dua against a person who is from the people of Badr? So we know Mistah radiallahu anhu, he was from the people of Ahlul Badr. So she says that, how could you say these words? How could you say these words? Atasabina rajulan shahida badra. How could you say these words against a person who has fought in the battle of Badr? And one of the things that we learn from this is that, defending your Muslim brother or sister in their absence. So this happens a lot where we're in a gathering and someone says a remark or backbites or makes a slander or anything, of that sort, negative against their brother or sister in Islam. And a person who is in that gathering, it's upon you to defend your Muslim brother or sister. And we learn from one of the hadith, Abu Darda radhiyallahu anhu, he says that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man radda an irdi akhi, radda Allahu an wajhi an-nar yawm al-qiyamah." That the one who protects and basically defends the honor of their brother and sister in Islam in their absence, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect that person's face from the fire on the Day of Judgment. Okay, so this is one of the things that we need to understand, is that when someone is backbiting or someone's doing that, we should not stay silent out of shyness or anything like that, but we should actually speak up, try to change the subject, or tell them that no, this person is not like this, or and so on and whatnot. In similar fashion, just try to defend that person's honor, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will defend us against the fire and protect us from the fire of hell on the Day of Judgment, inshallah ta'ala. Now, Aisha radhiyallahu anha, when she says these words, that how could you say these things about your son? And the mother, Mistah radhiyallahu anha, she says that, Ya hanta. Now this word hanta, basically one of the meanings is, oh you girl, or you there. Another meaning of it is actually, oh naive girl, how naive you are. That you don't, and she said then after that, that you didn't hear what they said about you. You don't know what they said about you. Alam tasma'i ma qalu, you didn't hear what they said saying about you or what they said about you. And then she told her actually of what they have said. And Aisha radhiyallahu anha, at that point, that's where everything changed. And she said, I even became more sick. The sickness returned basically. And she said she hurried back to her house and she asked the Prophet ﷺ for permission to go to her parents' house. Now one of the things here is that she did not go back and ask the Prophet ﷺ about what the people are saying, or ask, to find out what's the details, but she wanted to go talk to her parents and get in. This is part of the shyness of our mother Aisha radhiyallahu anha, that she did not want to speak to the Prophet ﷺ directly about this. And we talked about how in the entire hadith of the ifk, she does not mention what that was, the accusation that they had against her. And the ulama also, they do not mention the accusation. When they talk about the hadith, they don't mention the accusation. So Aisha radhiyallahu anha, going back to her parents' house, and she asked her mother that what are the people saying about me? And that's where she confirmed what they had said. And she said that I started to cry. And she cried all night. She said, I couldn't sleep. I cried the entire night because of the sadness and the hurt, that how could people say such a slander against me? How could they say something against me? And this is one of the things, the word buhtan. So buhtan, the word itself, we know that in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Namrud, when Ibrahim alayhi salam and Namrud was arguing with Ibrahim alayhi salam about being God. So Namrud claiming to be God, he said that I am God and I am the one who I can give life and I can give death. So he gave example. He brought two men. One of them he sentenced to death and got him killed right away. And another who was in prison, he said, you are free to go. So he said in his thought process, this is giving life and death. So then Ibrahim alayhi salam, instead of arguing with him, he says, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the sun from the east, so you bring it from the west. So when he said this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah, فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. So that word buhtan is used there, that he was silenced, he was shocked, and he was speechless, meaning he did not have a response. He was not able to respond to Ibrahim alayhi salam's statement at this point. So the word buhtan actually comes from that from those same root letters, buhita or bahata, which means to silence someone, okay, to make someone speechless, you could say, to shock someone. And buhtan in this case, what we're talking about here in this hadith or in this incident, is an accusation that leaves someone speechless. So it's an accusation that's so out there, or so preposterous, you could say, that it just leaves you speechless. So that's the word of buhtan. And Aisha radiallahu anha, again, we know that she was just shocked and she was speechless. She didn't know what to say. She just constantly cried all night. And we know that crying also, this is natural. When Ibrahim radiallahu anh, the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, passed away in Medina Munawwara, the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Maria Qibtiyya radiallahu anha. When he passed away, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was found crying. He was, it's natural, he was crying. And the Sahaba asked her, Ya Rasulullah, you are also crying? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded by saying, Inna al-ayna tadma', meaning that the eyes are tearing, wal qalba yahzan, and the heart is feeling sorrow. Wala naqulu illa ma yarda rabbuna, and we don't say anything against the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't say anything that displeases the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِنَّ بِفِرَاقِكَ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ لَمَحْزُونُونَ. He says that we are on your firaq, meaning that your departure, we're feeling sorrow, we're feeling grieved. And so again, the crying is natural in these kind of situations. The only thing is that we don't say anything that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in silence and just crying, there's nothing wrong with that. The main thing is that we don't do anything that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we give another example, and we'll talk about this a little bit more next week inshallah, where Yaqub alayhi salam, he was also crying. When he lost Yusuf alayhi salam, he constantly was crying until he got to a point where he became blind because of his constant crying. So this is something that's natural. It's a human response. And the thing is that we have to have the response of the Anbiya alayhi salam and the response of Aisha radiallahu anha, where she's saying فَصَبْرٌ jameel, and just like Yaqub alayhi salam said, having sabr. Now, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after Aisha radiallahu anha went to her parents' house, eventually she came back to her own house, to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the meantime, he's under distress. He's under worry. He doesn't know. There's no wahi. The wahi had not come. It's almost a month now, or more than a month now, and the wahi had not come. And this also proves, and I mentioned this. This proves that the Prophet ﷺ did not, he did not make up the Quran. It's not something that he just made up, because he could have easily just made up ayat and said, okay, my wife's innocent and that's it, right? But a whole month or more of distress and worry and grief and confusion that was going on, waiting for the wahi. This is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends wahi when He wills, not when we ask for, not when the Prophet asks for it. Just like dreams, for example, when we want to dream, people enjoy dreams, right? Sometimes you have good dreams from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then other times you have dreams from shayateen and whatnot. But dreams, for example, basharat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they don't come when you wish. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the wahi and whenever He wishes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send the wahi down to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for over a month, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was distressed. So in the meantime, he seeks counsel or shura or mashwara from the Sahaba, and he summons Ali radiallahu anh and Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anh. These are two young Sahaba who were from the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So obviously Ali radiallahu anh being the son-in-law of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and being the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's very close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
This happened in 8th Hijrah? When was that?
It was before. Well, there's a difference of opinion. So some say it was 5th Hijri after Khandaq, and some say it was before Khandaq.
So the Fatima was already married at that time?
Yes. Fatima was married, yes. So Ali radhiallahu anhu was summoned, and Osama bin Zayd radhiallahu anhu being the son of Zayd ibn Haritha radhiallahu anhu, the son-in-law or adopted son of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Osama being the beloved of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and beloved of the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he called them to consult with them. Obviously not in the presence of Aisha radhiallahu anha, but she relates this later on. This is part of the hadith because she was told about what had happened. But so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Osama radhiallahu anhu and Ali radhiallahu anhu, what should I do? Should I divorce my wife, or what should I do? What's the situation? Getting their shura. And Osama radhiallahu anhu responds by saying that I swear by Allah, we don't know anything except good. We don't know anything except good about your wives. So basically, keep your wife with you. And Ali radhiallahu anhu responds by saying, Ya Rasulullah, there's many women out there, and if you're in such, and basically the meaning of this is that if you're in such distress and you're in such worry and there's no wahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not giving you the wahi about the bara or the innocence of Aisha radhiallahu anha. There's other women out there, and why worry yourself so much? You can marry another woman. So this is the consultation that they gave. But Ali radhiallahu anhu added to that. He said that if you want to ascertain to get more, if you want to get more information, then ask Barira. Barira radhiallahu anha was one of the servants or one of the maids of Rasulullah and Aisha radhiallahu anha, and she would be in the house. So there would be someone who know more about Aisha radhiallahu anha would be Barira. So Barira radhiallahu anha was asked to come, and Rasulullah asked her then that, what do you say about Aisha? Did you ever see anything that makes you doubt or have any suspicions or anything like that? Anything about her? And Barira radhiallahu anha, she responds by saying, she says that, وَالَّذِي بَعَثَكَ بِالْحَقِّ, that I swear by the one who has sent you with the truth, مَا رَأَيْتُ عَلَيْهَا أَمْرًا قَطْ أَغْمِسُهُ غَيْرَ أَنَّهَا جَارِيَةٌ. So, and I'll continue with that. So she says that I swear by Allah that I have never seen anything negative about her, anything that I can criticize her about, غَيْرَ أَنَّهَا جَارِيَةٌ حَدِيثَةُ سِنٍ, except that she is very young, she's young of age, تَنَامُ عَنْ عَجِينِ أَهْلِهَا. So basically, when the maid would, knead the dough, and she would do that, and she would, like she told Aisha radhiallahu anha, okay, watch the dough while I'm gone, I'm going to go get some chores done or something like that. And she said that when she came back, Aisha radhiallahu anha had fell asleep, and the dough was eaten by the goat. So the goat of the house, or the goat of the house had come and eaten the ajeen, or eaten the dough while she was sleeping. So she didn't take care of the dough. That's basically the worst thing I can say about her. So again, talking about the innocence of Aisha radhiallahu anha, defending her innocence, that there's nothing I can say anything to criticize her, except this is what she does sometimes, where she will fall asleep and then the goat will come and eat from the dough. Now, Rasulullah after after asking, consulting, and so the next part that happened was from the hadith, as Rasulullah ascends the mimbar. So Rasulullah goes to the masjid of Masjid Nabawi. قالت عائشة رضي الله عنها فقام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من يومي. So that day he stands up. فاستعذر من عبد الله بن أبي وهو على المنبر. So the Prophet was standing on the mimbar, and he says to the people, فقال يا معشر المسلمين, O Muslimin, من يعذرني من رجل قد بلغني عنه أذى في أهلي في أهلي. So that who will basically, how do you translate this? Who would give me the udhr, who will excuse me from taking my punishment on this person who has not only his nifaq is now clear because of Surah Munafiqun and all the things that he did against the Muslims, but now he has reached his adha and he has come to my household. He's attacking my household now. And Rasulullah says, Wallahi ma alimtu ala ahli illa khaira. And I swear by Allah, I don't know anything but good from my family. So meaning that Aisha radhiallahu anha, I don't know anything but good from her, and this man is attacking me. So who's going to excuse me if I punish him? Who is going to excuse me if I do that? Another meaning the ulama say is that who will relieve him? Meaning who will man yansuruni? Who will come to my aid and relieve me of his distress and these problems that he is attacking me and my family, and who will relieve me of this man? So Rasulullah, as he says this, and also, one thing I need to add is that the Prophet also adds to this. He says, وَلَقَدْ ذَكَرُوا رَجُلًا مَا عَلِمْتُ عَلَيْهِ إِلَّا خَيْرًا. that they also mentioned, so not only they're attacking my household, attacking my wife, but they're also talking about an innocent man, one of the Sahaba, Safwan ibn Mu'attal, he said that they have also mentioned a man that I don't know anything except khair about him. I don't know anything except good about this Sahabi. وَمَا يَدْخُلُ عَلَىٰ أَهْلِي إِلَّا مَعِي. And this man has never came to my house except when I was present. Meaning he wouldn't come, na'udhu billah, he's not visiting my house when I'm not home, or he's not, frequenting my house or anything like that. But he will only come to my house when I'm present, and I don't know anything but good about him. So basically the Prophet is defending Safwan ibn Mu'attal. So he had full trust in Safwan radiallahu, and he knew that the Sahabi would not do such a thing. And one thing I did want to add to, I think I mentioned this one time before, Salama radiallahu anha, when she was making hijrah to Medina Munawwara, she was all by herself. And there was a non-Muslim who saw her by herself, and he actually asked her, where are you going? She said, I'm going to my husband, I'm going to Medina. So he volunteered himself and safely took her to Medina, dropped her off and came back. Just to make sure that she's safe and no one attacks her on the way or anything like that. So he came, this is a non-Muslim did this. In another incident, as actually later on, where Habiba radiallahu anha, this is the daughter of Abu Sufyan. So Habiba radiallahu anha, we know she was one of those who had made the first hijrah to Abyssinia. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam married her while she was in Abyssinia. So this was a nikah over the phone. We have nowadays over the phone nikah. So you could say.
I don't know if you want to mention that.
But so.
That parallel was pretty.
but okay, not
the
similar. But
was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
So yeah, Najashi,
yeah.
And Najashi actually did perform the nikah. Yeah, Najashi performed the nikah, radiallahu anhu, and the Rasulullah was in Medina Munawwara. So basically, it was a distant nikah, you could say, over the I don't know about over the phone, but distance nikah. And the Prophet ﷺ actually trusted. There was a Sahabi by the name Shurahbil ibn Hasana radiallahu anh. He was entrusted with bringing Habiba radiallahu anha to Medina Munawwara by himself. So he brought Habiba radiallahu anha all the way from Abyssinia to Medina Munawwara. And again, this is showing that the Prophet ﷺ, he had trust in the Sahaba, and there's no thing that they were the mothers of believers. They're the mothers of the Sahaba also. They're mothers of everyone, and that's why we know that there's a special izzah and special respect and honor that the Sahaba had for our mothers. So there's no way that something like this could have happened. So
the name of the Sahabi, the name of the person that brought her the
Habiba.
Salma.
He was not Sahabi. He was, I don't know the name.
It's mentioned in Fadal Yaman. Talha radiallahu anhu, I believe.
Okay, barakallah.
He became a Muslim later on, I believe. I'll have to get it out, but it's there.
Okay.
I believe the name is Talha though.
Maybe Talha. No.
I can.
Okay. Jazakallah. We'll look it up, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. So yeah, later on he became Muslim, but he wasn't. At that point he was not Muslim. Jazakallah khair. So Rasulullah basically saying this, that I don't know anything about my family except good. I don't know anything about this man except good. So who will relieve me of this evil of this man, this Abdullah ibn Ubay? He didn't even mention the name. He didn't say. He just said, who will relieve me of this man who is causing me distress in my family and doing all these attacks against us? When he says this, all the Sahaba were gathered. Obviously, he had gathered the Sahaba in the masjid, and he's on the minbar speaking, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he says this, Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh. So Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh radhiyallahu anh, he's from the Aus. We know there's two tribes of Ansar, the Aus and the Khazraj. And Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh radhiyallahu anh, he stands up and he says, Ana ya Rasulullah, that I will do it. Meaning either I will excuse you and like we won't blame you if you were to order us to kill, or I will be the one to kill. He says, A'ziruka fa in kana min al-Aus. So if he's from our tribe, from my tribe, from Aus, darabtu unuqa, meaning I will cut off his head, I will kill him. Wa in kana min ikhwanina min al-Khazraj, amartana faf'alna amrak. So if he's from the Khazraj, then just give us the order and we will carry out the order. We will go and kill this person. So another man from the Khazraj, and this is another leader of the Khazraj, his name was Sa'd ibn Ubadah radhiallahu anh, he's one of the leaders of the Khazraj. He stood up and he says in response, and again, this is not because of any animosity between them or anything like that, but remember we just said just a month prior when they were traveling back from Muraysi', when they had stopped, we talked about how the Muhajirin and the Ansar were about to have a fight was about to break out because of the two Sahaba who had gotten into a dispute, and we saw that how they called out the slogan of Jahiliyyah, and Rasulullah said, "Da'ha fa innaha muntina." That leave this call of Jahiliyyah, leave this call to tribalism, because this is nasty, this is disgusting. So the same thing like this, it came back, and again it was in their hearts. Remember, they're still going through the tazkiyah, they're still cleaning themselves, they're still purifying themselves of the Jahiliyyah, and some remnants still remain. For example, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari radhiallahu anh, I mentioned this before many times, where Abu Dharr radhiallahu anh, when he said some words against Bilal radhiallahu anh, and when it came to the ears of the Prophet ﷺ, he was very angry and furious against Abu Dharr radhiallahu anh. He called him, someone, did you say these things? He says, yes, ya Rasulullah, I did say these things. And the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّكَ امْرَؤٌ فِيكَ جَاهِلِيَّةٌ. You are a man, you still have some remnants of Jahiliyyah inside of you. So again, it's natural, the Sahaba, they're still going through the tazkiyah and the purification phase. So they had this, he stood up, and if he's from, the man from Aus said, if he's from us, or he's from Khazraj, we'll kill him. And Sa'd ibn Ubadah radhiallahu anh, being from the Khazraj, he stands up and he responds. He says that kadhabt, meaning you're telling a lie. He says you've lied, and he says that قال لسعد, so he says to Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, كذبت لعمر الله لا تقتله, that you will never kill him. We'll not allow you to kill him. You're not going to be able to kill him. ولا تقدر على قتله, and you're not able to even kill him. ولو كان من رحتك ما أحببت أن يقتل. And he says that if he was from your tribe, you wouldn't want him to be killed. So this is again this remnants of Jahiliyyah, you could say, or the slogan of tribalism was still a little bit in their hearts. So he stood up and he was angry. He said that you're not going to be able to kill him, and we're not going to allow you to kill him. And if he was from your tribe, you wouldn't want him to be killed. So he says this, and another man from Aus, Usayd ibn Hudayr radhiallahu anh, again from the leaders of Ansar, and these Sahaba are the ones that when Mus'ab ibn Umayr radhiallahu anh was giving da'wah in Madinah Munawwara, these are the first ones to become Muslim, and when they became Muslim, many of the Ansar became Muslim after that. Many of the people of Medina became Muslim after that. So Usayd ibn Hudayr radhiallahu anh, he stands up and he says, and again they're all related, these are all leaders of Ansar, and he says to Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he says, كَذَبْتَ لَعَمْرُ اللَّهِ لَنَقْتُلَنَّهُ. He says that you have lied, we will surely kill him. We will certainly kill him. فَإِنَّكَ مُنَافِقٌ تُجَادِلُ عَنِ الْمُنَافِقِينَ. So he says that if you're protecting a munafiq, then basically he went to the word, he said that you're a munafiq also. And again, this is not that it was just like a heat of the moment thing, and he was upset. And he says that you're basically, how could you defend this munafiq? How could you defend Abdullah ibn Ubay? So he says this, فَثَارَ الْحَيَّانِ الْأَوْسُ وَالْخَزْرَجِ. So these two groups, the Aus and Khazraj from the Ansar, they started raising their voices, they started arguing, and they were about to become, it was about to become like a civil war, just like they would be before the Prophet ﷺ. Before Hijrah to Medina, we know these two tribes were battling each other for years on end. So they were about to have a civil war, and Rasulullah ﷺ was standing on the minbar, and then he started to calm them down and tell them to be quiet. And then when they became quiet, the Prophet ﷺ became quiet, and then he quietly left the minbar and went home. So this is some of the things that happened during that phase. Inshallah, next week we'll talk about the final part of this slander of Aisha radhiallahu anha, where the Prophet ﷺ receives the wahi, and some of the aftermaths and the punishments that were given to the people of the ifk. So we'll stop there, inshallah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun. One thing I did want to mention is that most likely, I talked about how when the Prophet ﷺ had returned from Medina, it's not mentioned when, But there's a hadith mentioned where Abdullah ibn Ubay, so the son of Abdullah ibn Ubay, his name was Abdullah, he was a true Muslim, Sahabi, where he comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says that I have heard that you want to kill my father, that you want my father dead. So he says that if you are going to order anyone to do it, order me to do it. Because I would not be able to see the killer of my father walking freely in Medina, and I feel that I might, in response, in my rage, I might kill him, and I would go to hellfire because I killed a Muslim in response to a kafir. So he's also knowing that he's saying that my father is a munafiq, he's not Muslim, but he says that if you're ordering anyone to kill him, allow me to go and kill my father. So this is Abdullah ibn Ubay, his son Abdullah. And one of the things, it's not mentioned when he said this, but I think most likely it seems like it happened after this. That after he heard the Prophet ﷺ standing on the minbar talking about his father, and he came and he said that maybe perhaps you want my father to be killed, so allow me to do it. So we'll stop there inshallah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.